Welcome to episode 21 of YOUx2, where we're on an adventure of discovering the two of us that are living this human experience, this human character that we're playing here, and the actor behind this character, that powerful, supernatural, eternal spirit being that we are, made of unconditional love. The last several episodes, we've been looking at how we can experience the spirit world through the 5 physical senses of the physical character that we're playing here. And here we are on the final sense, sight. Of course, as soon as I was approaching this subject, that movie, The Sixth Sense, popped into my head, and it was like, I see dead people, which of course could be one very extreme way that we could experience spirit through our physical eyesight, which would be to actually see a spirit appear. But that is a very extreme, very minimal, at least at this point in our lives, that we're not seeing that as often. More likely, what we all experience, a large majority of us do, is that you'll see something in your peripheral, like a shadow or a light or a bright flicker or a flash. And so I kind of feel that's the way that they would try to get our attention in the beginning and to spare us from a lot of dirty underwear. Because if I saw a spirit appear before me, like the first, the second, the third, and probably the fourth time, I probably would poop my pants. And so this is the way they start to introduce, is to start to see it in our peripheral vision. And there is, of course, tons of other ways that we could see from our sight. You know, you have like flickering lights. You might see like a bumper sticker on a car or a license plate, or see pennies or butterflies, or a wide variety of things that could happen. And the biggest thing is that it's all about you, because the ways that they could do it are endless, that they could communicate with us. But spirit, your loved ones, your guardian angels, your spirit guides, all of them on the other side know you very well, and they know what you need to see to get your attention so that you would recognize that it's from them. I know for me, like my mom loves butterflies. And for some people, if you saw a butterfly, you're like, it's a bug. Oh, it's pretty. But like for me, when my mom eventually goes to the other side and tries to get in touch with me, I know that I'm going to be bombarded with the butterfly things all over the place, because that is something that I would recognize as like, hey, Mom, it's you. So that is the biggest thing, is that they know what you need to see to trigger something inside you. So if you see something that you're like, I wonder if that's so-and-so, chances are it is. And another way that we can perceive spirit through our sight is by how we actually see things in the world. It's how we perceive things. My favorite quotes is, we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. That whole perception thing, right? One of my biggest awarenesses that came was that I actually have the power to choose what something means and actually what I want to feel as I go through any situation. And I know when I first got that message from Spirit, I was like, you know what? I don't really feel like I'm making a choice. It kind of just appears to me that this thing happens and this is what I think it means. This thing happens and this is how I feel about it. But they are very gentle and very patient. So they would sit me down and they'd go, all right, so let's look back at your past, into your childhood, and look back over your life. And like any other human character upon this earth, we are given the popular opinion on what something is supposed to mean, right? The popular opinion on when this happens, this is what it means. When this happens, this is how you're supposed to feel. And we get that reinforced over and over again, where it becomes our habit to feel and think those feelings and those stories or interpretations we're putting around a circumstance. And then it becomes our habit so much it becomes a reaction, where it's just so fast that it doesn't feel like we're making a choice. But then they slowed down time and they showed me, like, here, see, that's in that frame, and you're doing frame by frame, you can see that's when the decision was made. It clicked in, your habit clicked in, and that's what you put into action in your brain and in your heart on what you wanted to think around that situation and what you wanted to feel. And I was like, wow. And they're like, if you can just pause, and when emotions start to happen or a situation happens, if you can learn to pause before you make that judgment on the interpretation you want to, or perception you want to put around a situation or what you're going to feel around it, you can make a different choice. And I know in the beginning, it was like, oh, nope, there it went again. It was more after the fact, but it became, instead of like a year afterwards, I was like, oh, that's what I was thinking and feeling. It became months and then days and then hours and then moments after it happened. I realized, oh, I'm going back into that habit of thinking that and feeling that. And then amazing thing is, like, when you're in the middle of it, you are realizing it and you make a different choice. And sometimes you don't. And then sometimes as it's coming up, you've created a new habit out of it and you choose differently. An example that they gave me that really helped was like losing a job. In the beginning, when the popular opinion that we learn is that if you lose your job, oh my God, it's awful. You should panic and you should be so ashamed, and what a failure we are. And oh my gosh, I just don't know what I'm going to do, because we're taught that this is what it means. It means you're a failure. It means, you're going to lose everything. You're not going to find another job. Oh my gosh. Or, like the feelings is like fear, panic, failure, all those emotions that come up with that are popular and that we have, learned. So they showed me that, well, maybe if you get that power of choice back to yourself and you realize that you can change it, what if you look at it differently? What if you could look at your job as, maybe it was a toxic situation. Maybe it was, an unhealthy, maybe even abusive relationship with your job where you just, it was sucking the life out of your soul going in there because you didn't feel like it was a two-way relationship. You felt used and abused. And so, like any toxic relationship, sometimes we don't want to be the ones out of fear to leave it. And so we will, out of fear, not take action and just continue to take what is coming to us. And that is both, of course, both job and personal relationship or whatever type of relationships they are, right? But when the job breaks up with us, now you can have a new choice. I can have a new emotion of like, oh, thank God they did that. Because at the time, maybe I wasn't willing to make that decision and they made it for me. Now I can move on to something that's more in alignment to where I'm headed in my adventure. So when we can connect and make it aware of our power of choice, we can start creating new habits on what we want to see and how we see things. I know it's not normally called a flower by any name. I think the popular one is something along the lines of, a rose by any other name is still a rose. But they wanted me to kind of focus in on how our mind tries to, that human character side, our human mind side of us wants to contrast and define and analyze and do all of that. And so they wanted to bring that awareness around because, like when we go and we are walking in nature and we see a flower, our minds might go into that. Oh, what type of flower is that? And do all that. We totally miss out on the beauty of it. And they actually reminded me of a experience I had where I was out walking with a friend of mine. And she's a Virgo sun, has that analytical mind. And we came across this beautiful white flower and I go, oh, what a beautiful white flower. Her Virgo mind went in and she told me the name of what it was and how the petals are used for this medicinal thing and even the the leaves and the stem is used for this and the roots are used for that and and she's telling me all these things, and I have to admit that I kind of just started zoning out because I was so focused in on the flower that I didn't want to hear all this stuff trying to tell it who it was. I just wanted to experience that specific flower for what it was. And it was an amazing awareness that it brought, because it was like, if you can do that for a flower, then can we do that for people too? Not trying to define them by everything that your mind is trying to do it, but just loving them for what they are and seeing the beauty of that person for who they are. Which brings us to the final piece, which is what they call seeing higher. So rather than getting caught up in all the chaos and all the drama of that character and how they're acting like a fool, not doing what I think they should be doing, and all that stuff that they're doing, drama, the dramatic situations, those dramatic people, and my dramatic self. We can get caught up in all of that, like that human character. There's nothing wrong with that. It's why we come here. We come here to this giant fear amusement park to ride all the fear rides, but eventually we've all chosen to step up and outside of that for a moment to see that contrast, like the tapestry back here with the dark print on the light print. If it was all light, we wouldn't even get to see all of the design, all this beautiful design that's within it. It would just be this giant white tapestry. But because we're experiencing both, we understand ourselves and we see the design of things and ourselves more deeply, seeing things from that higher perspective. So we do have that ability within our life here to take a deep breath, and as we talked about, make it a habit to connect to a higher place, to raise our vibration to that of unconditional love and joy and peace and laughter, communicate and for all of our different senses, experience the spirit world all around us. And we don't realize our eyes are suddenly open and we're like, how long has all this been here? I kind of just had this flash of the Field of Dreams, that Kevin Costner where he built a baseball field in the cornfield, and only he and a few people could see the spirit beings that were there to play baseball. And until I think it was his daughter or one of his children got something caught in his throat like a hot dog, and his brother-in-law or brother was like, they got her breathing again, and he looked up and goes, when did they all get here? And it's like suddenly this opening that we're like, when did they all get here? When did all these messages start to appear? And our life can totally just change. Now, I know that these are just, over these several episodes, I've mentioned just a few ways that it could be experienced, how the spirit world can be experienced through, our physical senses. And if you have any others that you want to share, please put them down in the comments below. I love to read them, and I'm sure everyone else would love to hear them as well, because we're so thirsty and hungry for the things of spirit, because that is where we come from. That reminds us of home. So I'm going to leave the messages there, and we're going to move into the next series, or the next part of this series. In the next episode, we're going to be looking into what I learned through a broken heart. I know, I'm sure it's going to be dramatic. But in the meantime, if you are looking for more messages of love from above, in addition to these videos, I also put out monthly readings for each zodiac sign, also weekly energy updates for each zodiac sign, and a few other types of videos. So if you don't want to miss out on any of those and be notified immediately when they become available, if you give this video a little thumbs up and click the like button, also click the subscribe button, and that gives you access to the notification bell. And when you go in there, if you select the all option, then you'll be notified of any new videos that come out on this channel. Also, doing those things spreads the love, and it really helps my channel grow in significant ways. Because when you like a video or share a video, comment on a video, subscribe to a channel, Doing those things makes the YouTube algorithm so excited it wants to share the videos of this channel with other people as well. So if you feel inspired to do any of that, I am, of course, very, very grateful for that. Also, any of the readings I do are general readings, but I do offer personal readings. So if you're looking for even more specific information and answers for your specific life, all that information for personal readings is listed in the description box below. All right, you powerful, amazing souls, just know as you're going throughout this next week that every moment of every day, you are unconditionally loved by the Creator of all things. And of course, I love you too. Have an amazing week. I'll be talking to you very soon. In the meantime, you hang in there and you take care.